Hello, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. I wish you all an enjoyable listening experience. Today, the book I'll be interpreting for you is Super Founders, with the subtitle, What Data Reveals About Billion-Dollar Startups. Entrepreneurship is a challenging journey, and only a few startups survive, let alone thrive. Matt Murphy, the managing director and partner at the renowned venture capital firm Monroe Ventures, has stated that nearly 70% of startups do not succeed. However, we often hear success stories of unicorn companies that have achieved tremendous success. The term unicorn company was coined by Ellen Pao, the founder of Cowboy Ventures, a famous American venture capital firm. It refers specifically to startups that rapidly achieve a valuation exceeding $1 billion within a decade. Examples include Zoom, the video communication company that saw a 54-fold increase in net profits during the pandemic from 2020 to 2022, and OpenAI, the artificial intelligence research lab that reached a valuation of $27 billion in 2023 with the introduction of Chat-7pt, marking a new era in AI. How do these unicorn companies break through the barriers? What secrets or patterns do they follow? Ali Tamaseb, the author of this book, provides us with insights into the success formula of unicorn companies. Ali Tamaseb is a well-known partner at DCVC, a Silicon Valley venture capital firm managing over $3.5 billion in funds. Since 2018, on behalf of DCVC, he has invested in numerous multi-billion-dollar companies across various sectors, including cryptocurrency, fintech, healthcare, and biomedicine. For example, he invested in Planet Labs, which went public in 2021 with a valuation of $15 billion. Before joining DCVC, Ali Tamaseb founded a modular smartwatch company in 2013, leading the company to earn millions of dollars in revenue. With experience as an entrepreneur and insights as an investor evaluating startups, he embarked on a 4-year independent research project to uncover the secrets of unicorn company success. He selected nearly 200 unicorn companies founded since 2005 and compared them with 200 ordinary startups, collecting a total of 30,000 data points and analyzing over 65 factors. Additionally, he conducted in-depth interviews with 15 prominent entrepreneurs and investors, gathering insights from their real-world experiences. Through this comprehensive research, Ali Tamaseb identified 3 key factors that contribute to the success of unicorn companies: founders with a track record of serial entrepreneurship, innovative ideas that resonate with the market, and substantial financial support from venture capital firms. He compiled his findings into this book, which has received acclaim and praise from industry experts such as Tony Fadell, the inventor of the iPod, Yuan Zheng, the founder of Zoom, and Juanrui Lin, a partner at Sequoia Capital. In the following sections, I will interpret the entire book based on these 3 key factors. 1. What kind of individuals are more likely to succeed? 2. What types of ideas are more likely to succeed? 3. How can one secure financial support from venture capital firms? Let's start with the first question: what kind of people are more likely to succeed? What does a company value most when evaluating it? As a venture capitalist, the author's answer is the team or the founders. The author emphasizes that in the early stages of a company, there is nothing more critical to assess than the people behind it, because even great ideas can only be realized by a great team. So, what kind of people are more likely to succeed? Let's begin with a story. In 2005, a young man named Aaron Levy, who was a sophomore at the University of Southern California, observed professors and students repeatedly plugging and unplugging storage disks to transfer large files, a tedious and inefficient process. At that time, Aaron was involved in a school project related to cloud storage and came up with the concept of Box, where people could rent a small amount of cloud storage space to access their files from anywhere. Aaron Levy, along with several high school friends, launched the cloud storage product, Box, which became immensely popular upon its release. Subsequently, Aaron chose to drop out of school to become the CEO of Box at the age of 19. Box continued to grow and became a globally recognized cloud storage company, ultimately going public in January 2015 with a peak market valuation of $4.7 billion. Aaron Levy's journey to success at such a young age is not uncommon. In 2013, Melanie Perkins dropped out of school at the age of 22 and founded Canva, a graphic design platform valued at billions of dollars. Going even further back, in 2004, Mark Zuckerberg, aged 20, wrote the code for Facebook in a Harvard University dorm room, dropped out, and went on to create Facebook, a trillion-dollar company. Similarly, Bill Gates founded Microsoft at the age of 20 in 1976, subsequently dropping out of Harvard University. Microsoft has become one of the greatest tech companies in history, and Bill Gates has repeatedly held the title of the world's richest person. These stories of tech giants who achieved early success through entrepreneurship are often told and admired. People tend to believe that most unicorn companies are founded by daring young individuals who have a moment of brilliance, discover a solution to a problem, and then leave their academic pursuits behind to embark on an entrepreneurial journey. But is this really the case? The author chooses to let data speak for itself. Let's begin with age. While it is true that some founders start their unicorn companies in their early 20s, most unicorn founders do not fit this profile. The age range of unicorn founders varies significantly, from 18 to 68 years old. Data shows that the median age of unicorn founders is 34 years old, indicating that age alone is not a significant factor for success. Whether young or old, age cannot be considered a clear advantage. Next, let's look at education. The notion that dropout students are more likely to succeed in entrepreneurship does not hold up under scrutiny. Data reveals that most unicorn founders are not dropouts. Among them, 36% hold undergraduate degrees, 22% have both undergraduate and MBA degrees, and over 30% have postgraduate degrees. In fact, dropout founders are less common than those with doctoral degrees. So, are Ivy League or other prestigious school graduates more likely to succeed? While it may seem intuitive, the data doesn't necessarily support this idea. According to the author's research, an equal number of unicorn founders graduated from schools ranked in the top 10 globally and those ranked beyond 100. For instance, San Jose State University in the Silicon Valley area has a global ranking beyond 800, but it has produced several unicorn founders, such as Jan Koum of WhatsApp and Ed Oates of Oracle. In reality, the entrepreneurship community places little emphasis on the educational backgrounds and degrees of founders. There's also a common misconception that having a co-founder is essential for success in entrepreneurship. While there are many famous tech partnerships, such as Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at Apple, Larry Page and Sergey Brin at Google, and Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard at HP, having a co-founder is not a prerequisite for success in entrepreneurship. In fact, 1 out of every 5 unicorn companies is founded by independent solo founders. Independent founders do not inherently have an advantage or disadvantage compared to co-founders. In some ways, independent founders may even have an advantage because one of the primary reasons for startup failure is conflicts among co-founders, such as personality clashes, power struggles, or a lack of shared vision. Many startups are also founded by couples or family members, a situation viewed unfavorably by venture capitalists. Mixing personal relationships or family history into business operations can complicate matters, and many venture capitalists prefer to avoid investing in startups with founders who have blood or marital ties. Since age, educational background, and the number of founders are not definitive factors, what is the real key to success? The author believes that the crucial factor is having a super founder leading the startup. A super founder is a concept introduced by the author and the inspiration behind the book's title. Superfounders are successful serial entrepreneurs who have previously founded a company that achieved a valuation of at least $10 million or had an annual revenue exceeding $10 million. When these superfounders embark on their next entrepreneurial journey, they are more likely to grow their company into a billion-dollar or multi-billion-dollar entity. Previous entrepreneurial experience is critical for success for several reasons. 1. Their past experience helps them better manage their new venture, reducing the likelihood of repeating mistakes. 2. They have a stronger network of connections, which can help with finding early employees or getting introductions to potential customers. 3. Serial entrepreneurs have a higher likelihood of interacting with venture capitalists and securing funding. In summary, while age, educational background, and the number of founders are not significant factors, having a super founder with prior successful entrepreneurial experience is a crucial element for a startup's success. In the data analyzed by the author, nearly 60% of unicorn company founders have previously founded companies. For instance, both co-founders of Uber are super founders. One of them, Garrett Camp, previously founded a web discovery platform and sold it to eBay for $75 million. The other co-founder, Travis Kalanick, successively created 2 content-sharing software companies and sold them for $17 million. Furthermore, the recent sensation, Sam Altman, the father of ChatGPT, is also a typical superfounder. In 2005, he co-founded a social media company called Loveit, which he sold for $43 million in 2012. In 2015, Altman, along with Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX at the time, co-founded the non-profit artificial intelligence company OpenAI. So, if you want to start a unicorn company, the best preparation is to first create a company valued at tens of millions of dollars. Achieving this goal might involve starting a smaller-scale company initially. Even if the first company you start is not highly successful, it increases the likelihood of eventually founding a unicorn company. For example, the founder of the audio-based social app Clubhouse had experienced 9 previous failed entrepreneurial ventures before successfully launching the app, which quickly gained millions of users and reached a valuation of $1 billion. Even university students who go on to found unicorn companies typically have some prior experience in creating things, often dating back to high school or even earlier. For example, Mark Zuckerberg had created 3 programs before founding Facebook, one for helping Harvard students choose courses, another for ranking Harvard students by attractiveness, and a desktop music player. If you're not yet prepared for entrepreneurship, working at a top-tier company can also be beneficial for eventually starting a unicorn company. In resource-rich large companies, you can receive excellent training, develop the right mindset, improve your product sales skills, build and maintain relationships, and more. It's also easier to form connections with elite talents and gain the favor of investors. According to the author's data, founding CEOs of unicorn companies typically have an average of 11 years of work experience before starting their ventures. Many of them have previously worked at renowned companies such as Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Goldman Sachs, and McKinsey. For example, Eric Yuan founded Zoom after working at Cisco WebEx for 24 years. In the author's research, 14 unicorn company founders had previously worked at Google, and 8 had previously worked at Oracle. Whether through entrepreneurship or employment, the key is to acquire the right soft skills and network connections. With these assets, you can disrupt an industry that you may not be deeply familiar with, contrary to what many people may assume. Some might think that starting a business requires a deep understanding of the industry and specialized technical expertise. However, data shows that half of unicorn company founders do not possess specialized knowledge in the field they enter. For instance, the founder of the U.S. food delivery platform DoorDash, Tony Hsu, had worked for years at private equity firm McKinsey in E-Trade, with no direct experience in the logistics industry. Similarly, the 2 founders of the U.S. cancer data company, Fred Aaron Health, had no background in oncology. They had only been exposed to the Cancer Center at the University of Pennsylvania while working at Google. Having super founders is not enough, a successful startup also requires a good entrepreneurial idea. So, what kind of ideas are more likely to succeed? This brings us to the second part of what we're discussing today. Let's start by examining how startup ideas are typically generated. Generally, there are 4 common scenarios. 1. Eureka moments. In rare cases, a brilliant idea strikes like lightning. For example, Garrett Camp couldn't find a taxi on New Year's Eve in 2008, and when he tried to hire a black car, the driver demanded an exorbitant $800 fare. This frustration led him to create a ride-hailing app, which eventually became Uber. However, such scenarios are not common. 2. Targeted market exploration. Most founders begin by selecting a market, a customer type, or a trend and then gradually explore the problems within that domain. For instance, the founders of Fred Aaron Health initially targeted cancer patients as their customer base and gradually evolved their product from addressing insurance issues to analyzing treatment recommendations, ultimately creating a comprehensive cancer patient database. 3. Internal projects. Some startups emerge from internal projects within existing companies. For instance, Roku, a TV streaming company, started as an internal project at Netflix, and Expedia, one of the largest online travel companies, began as a Microsoft travel project. For academic origin, Google is a classic example of a startup that emerged from an academic institution. Google's founders developed the PageRank algorithm while they were at Stanford University. The author believes that for most entrepreneurs, finding a trend or selecting a market, identifying a customer base you understand better than others, identifying their real problems, and validating and solving these problems with your product are the most common paths taken by unicorn company founders. Why is this so? We can categorize startup ideas into two main types. 1. Painkiller products. These products address specific pain points in people's work or life. Uber, for instance, solved the problem of hailing taxis. Fred Aaron Health addressed data analysis for cancer patients. These types of products typically focus on saving time or money. 2. Vitamin products. These products offer entertainment or enjoyment to customers. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram fall into this category. In recent years, TikTok by ByteDance has gained global popularity as a vitamin product. Among unicorn companies, about 2/3 focus on painkiller products, while 1/3 create vitamin products. This is because when customers experience pain points in their work or life, they actively seek solutions, painkillers. In contrast, the demand for vitamin products is less urgent, and they tend to have strong substitutes. Trends constantly evolve in the vitamin product space, as seen in the shift from forum-style platforms to Twitter and Discord for casual daily sharing, or from text-based platforms like Twitter and WeChat to video-based platforms like TikTok and Instagram. Analyzing companies that create painkiller products further, it's evident that they primarily concentrate on two areas: saving time and saving money. These products aim to improve efficiency and effectiveness. Nearly 40% of unicorn companies fall into this category. Examples include Slack for workplace communication and Workday for human capital management. Approximately 20% of unicorn companies focus on saving money, such as Airbnb, which initially offered a cheaper alternative to hotels, and Uber, which provided more affordable transportation options. However, it's important to note that simply having a good painkiller idea doesn't guarantee success. The greatness of an idea is crucial, but equally important is timing, market fit, and pace. The success of Uber, for example, was not solely due to Garrett Camp's brilliant idea. It was also closely tied to the widespread adoption of smartphones, which enabled the real-time location tracking necessary for ride-hailing. Market timing is considered the second most critical factor for success by venture capitalists, according to a survey by the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. Therefore, it's vital for founders to adapt and pivot their ideas when needed. Furthermore, when it comes to pivoting, there are two primary strategies: either change your product for the same customers or change your customers for the same product. If neither of these strategies works, it may be necessary to come up with an entirely new idea. In conclusion, surviving in a competitive market requires careful consideration of your product, timing, and the strategies you employ to stay relevant. Success often comes to those who can adapt, innovate, and address real pain points effectively. In a startup world, the probability of success when competing with another well-funded startup is relatively low. The competition between Lyft and Uber in the United States marked the first wave of ride-hailing wars, while the competition between Didi and Kuaidi in China marked the second wave, among countless other cash-burning battles. In the end, the winner often tends to be the side with more sustained financial support. This brings us to the third key to success for startups, which is obtaining sufficient funding. This is what we will discuss in the third part today. Startups themselves rarely possess the scale of capital required for such endeavors, which is why venture capital becomes an essential part of most entrepreneurial stories. According to statistics covering the period from 1974 to 2014, 42% of all IPO companies in the United States had received venture capital. Looking at unicorn companies collected by the author after 2005, a staggering 90% of them had venture capital backing. Why are venture capitalists willing to invest in startups? Understanding the workings of venture capital reveals that it's essentially a high-stakes gamble. Venture capitalists are in pursuit of startups with the potential for high-risk, high-reward returns. Suppose a venture capital firm's partner manages a fund of $1 billion. In this case, they need to contribute $10 million to $20 million of their own money into the fund, known as the general partner commitment. The remaining capital comes from various institutions, referred to as limited partners. Typically, limited partners expect their investments to triple within 10 years, so the general partner needs to make approximately $3 billion within a decade just to break even. To generate additional profits, they must make even more. Let's assume the general partner invests this $1 billion in 10 different startups. However, facing a pool of 100 startups eager to pitch their ideas, how do they determine which 10 have the potential for high returns? Many venture capital firms openly admit that they can never predict which company in their portfolio will be the standout success. Therefore, the general partner might distribute the $1 billion relatively evenly among 10 startups. However, not all 10 startups may survive beyond a few years due to various reasons, such as co-founder conflicts, losing critical users, or failing to find the right market fit. Based on industry experience, even the best venture capital firms might see 3 to 4 of their investments fail completely, with another 3 to 4 barely recovering their capital, and only about 1 succeeding in earning substantial, sometimes several-fold, returns. This demonstrates that the modus operandi of venture capital firms essentially involves casting a wide net and counting on 1 or 2 exceptional successes to compensate for the losses incurred elsewhere. From a startup's perspective, given an inherent 10% failure rate in the industry, relying on venture capital firms to make astute choices can be challenging. Even Airbnb, which now boasts over 150 million users and a valuation exceeding $100 billion, initially faced rejection. One of its co-founders, Brian Chesky, revealed that they pitched to more than 20 investors, offering 10% equity for $150,000, but none were willing. However, the lack of initial investment didn't deter Airbnb's success story. So, how do you convince venture capital firms to invest in your venture? It's essential to understand that securing funding is not an overnight process. The expectation that a venture capital firm will hand over hundreds of millions to you in one go is unrealistic. Typically, the process begins with seed funding, followed by subsequent rounds such as Series A, B, C, and so on. In the early stages, particularly during the seed round, it's crucial to be prudent. Top venture capitalist Junjia Lin of Sequoia Capital advised that in the early stages, every dollar raised will be the most expensive capital you acquire. For instance, in the case of Airbnb mentioned earlier, had they taken $150,000 for 10% equity at the seed stage, it would now be worth $10 billion. Venture capitalists take a considerable risk when they invest in your startup, especially in the seed stage. This is why it's advisable to approach seasoned entrepreneurs for seed funding. They are more likely to recognize the potential in your idea and see past the risks. For instance, Aaron Levy, co-founder of Box, initially contacted over 100 investors and received no investment offers. However, when he emailed Mark Cuban, a successful entrepreneur, the dynamic changed. Cuban invested $350,000 in Box without even meeting Levy in person. Once you secure seed funding, you've completed 2 key steps. First, you can use these funds to search for product market fit and make adjustments as necessary until you observe genuine demand for your product. Second, you gain access to investment advice and the chance to network with various venture capital firms, preparing you for subsequent funding rounds. At this point, you shouldn't rush to connect with every venture capital firm partner in the hopes of securing more rounds of funding. Instead, focus on building a strong foundation for your company. Elevate compensation packages, equity stakes, and titles to attract top-tier talent to your team early on. High-profile individuals will join you if they believe in your vision, which will, in turn, instill confidence in venture capitalists. According to Junjia Lin, the ability of founders to attract top talent is what truly inspires confidence in venture capitalists. Therefore, rather than relying on PowerPoint presentations and meetings to convince them, it's better to concentrate on building a compelling case for your business. As Lin points out, all investors want to support a great team that's solving significant problems. Successful founders focus intently on a small number of critical initiatives rather than trying to tackle everything. In short, use the fundraising process as an opportunity to refine your development path. Once you've clarified your unique value proposition, it will be much easier to persuade investors. Great! Here, the entire book has been introduced for the most part. It's worth mentioning that the author used retrospective data. Can past experiences guide the future? In fact, some of the companies mentioned in the book have already lost their unicorn status, or even gone bankrupt, no longer existing. The author emphasizes that the purpose of writing this book is not to predict who might or might not successfully create the next unicorn company. That's impossible, of course. The hope is that your real takeaway from this book is to be inspired by the author's retrospective data, to rethink what's essential when building a company, and to provide some help for your current or future entrepreneurial endeavors. As the old saying goes, learn from history to know the future, and learn from people to understand gains and losses. Alright, that's where we conclude this book. Congratulations on finishing another book. Thank you all for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom and practice to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.